The control panel of the 300 series production switcher is laid out with three identical MixEffects systems, MixEffects 1, MixEffects 2, and MixEffects 3. Also included as standard equipment is a program preset mixer with downstream keyer, a preview monitor bus, a common positioner panel for all MixEffects, and optional Mark II digital video effects. We will begin our operational description by focusing on the transition panel of MixEffects 1. The transition panel contains all controls necessary to manipulate inputs from the four buses entering each MixEffects. The first group of buttons determines which buses will transition during the next lever movement. The background bus, the title bus, the video key bus, or any in combination. The next group of three buttons determines whether the transition will be a mix, a non-additive mix, or a wipe. The transition itself is executed either directly by the lever arm or as a direct cut or auto transition. The auto transition may proceed at any frame interval between 0 and 999 frames. Each MixEffects is equipped with an automatic preview output shown here as an insert in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. The auto preview monitor will show the result of the next lever arm movement regardless of the combination of buses to be transitioned. This can be demonstrated by first making a new selection on the B background bus and selecting a background transition. The transition can be accomplished either as a mix, a wipe, or as a non-additive mix. In each case, the preview monitor shows the picture that will result at the opposite lever limit. Likewise, titles can be previewed and clipped and brought to air either as a mix or, for instance, as a wipe. A tally indicator lights green to indicate the on-air status of the title. This light will remain green for as long as the title is present at the output of the MixEffects. An alternative way to add or delete titles involves the cut and mix buttons to the right of the transition lever arm. At any time, a title can be cut to air or mixed at its own independent transition rate in any combination of cut or mix. For example, a title can be cut on, mixed off, mixed on, cut off, or mixed on and mixed off. The title cut and mix buttons operate independently of the lever arm. Cut operates at any time. The mix button operates when the lever arm is on its limit, but reverts to a cut when the lever arm is off its limit. After reinserting our auto preview display in the upper right-hand corner, a video key, in this case a chroma key, can be added. As you can see, the key can be previewed and adjusted in the preview monitor before it is actually taken to air, and then wiped or mixed to air. After adding a title, you can see a composite of three pictures on the screen: a background, a chroma key, and a title. We can now wipe on a fourth source as a B background, exposing a fourth picture to create a 4-picture composite from one MixFX system. We can now show an interesting effect unique to the 300 switcher. The title now appears over the foreground chroma key and over the background. Using the over-under buttons on the title key block, the priority of the keys can be selected. The title key can be either over or under the foreground video key at the simple selection of a button. Returning to the composite picture again, we can reinsert the preview picture and demonstrate the transitions one at a time. First, a background change as a mix and out as a wipe. The title removed as a mix and the video key removed as a wipe, returning us to our original background scene. More complex effects can be made by making simultaneous transitions. For instance, a background and a title transition can be selected and wiped, revealing a title associated with the background. Likewise, we can transition a background and a video key together. Or a video key and a title. Or, most powerful of all, we can go from a composite chroma key and title and wipe to a 4-source directly. This brings us to yet another interesting feature of the 300. Suppose we wish to go to black before bringing up that 4th source. By pressing preset black, we can go to black from any composite effect and then transition out to the preset effect. It is no longer necessary to select a black cross point to go to black. One merely presses the preset black button and makes a transition. An optional feature of the 300 MixFX is the quad split. A quad split is formed in each MixFX with each of the 4 input buses feeding a quadrant. The title bus, the video key bus, background A, and background B. An auto center feature is provided for perfect centering of the quad split. To exit the quad split, one merely pushes the quad split button to return to the composite effect existing prior to the first push of the quad split button. This concludes the operation of the transition panel. The next pair of panels control the title key and video key modes respectively. The title key controls provide modifiers for the title bus keys. If the 300 switcher is personality programmed to take a wide key character generator input in companion with the title video input, the auto select button will assure that the wide key is presented to the title keyer automatically. When one turns off the auto selector, the title reverts to a luminance key, allowing switcher borderline modes to be used. The digital borderline option provides drop shadow borders in white, color, or black, and also outlines in white, color, or black. When the matte fill mode is used, a border mode is also possible in white, color, or black, in addition to the drop shadow and outline modes. The remaining controls on the panel include key invert and hue, saturation, and luminance controls for the matte generator. Note that when in the color border modes, a second luminance control operates on the border color. Turning to the video key controls, we can add a title. The clip and gain controls set the clip level, and the auto select button allows use of the wide key signal from the character generator. In addition, the title can be matted and masked with separate controls for right, left, bottom, and top. Likewise, a digital effects can be selected as an input to the video key bus in either its auto external key mode or directly as a luminance key, for example with titles. The 300 is designed for maximum flexibility with digital effects systems, providing automatic selection of DVE key signals. In chroma key mode, the clip, gain, and hue controls are memorized for each input on the video key bus. For instance, here with camera 1. We can select a DVE on the video key bus as an encoded chroma key, adjust the clip, gain, and hue controls for an optimal key, and henceforth directly cut between camera 1 as an RGB chroma key and DVE as an encoded chroma key, with all controls following the cut. Other chroma key controls include the chroma key separate, in which the RGB signals from one camera can cut the hole, while a second source from the video key bus can fill the hole, and shadow for shadow chroma keys. The preset wipe control permits white limits to be preset such that a mix to a preset wipe is then possible. When used in combination with the shadow control, spotlight effects are possible with continuously adjustable shadow density. This completes the description of the title key and video key systems. The 300 provides an extensive variety of rotary, non-rotary, and matrix wipes. All standard wipe patterns have both rotary and non-rotary modes, with the exception of the clock wipes and the matrix wipes. Rotary modes are controlled from the wipe control panel shown below. In the rotary off mode, the non-rotary version of the wipe is executed. In the rotary magnitude mode, the wipe will rotate as it transitions. The degree and direction of rotation are adjustable at the rotary limit control on the right side of the panel. In the rotary position mode, the size of the wipe is controlled by the lever arm, and the angle is controlled by the rotary limit control. In the rotary speed mode, the wipe is placed in continuous rotation. The velocity of rotation is adjustable at the rotary limit control. Continuous rotation is possible with any wipe which has a rotary mode, including the multi-patterns. The next group of controls will be demonstrated with a circle wipe. The aspect ratio control operates over a wide range with all standard patterns. Pressing the pattern button again will restore the original aspect ratio. The top button in the next column selects the on-off modes of the wipe border. The width is adjustable at the border width control on the right side of the panel. Hard or soft edges are selectable below the border button. The amount of softness is adjustable over a considerable range. With the 300, a soft border is also possible. The softness control continues to operate over its full range. The next column of controls determines the direction of the wipe during the transition. For example, a normal direction, reverse, normal reverse, and reverse normal. All combinations are possible on the 300. The 300 permits pattern modulation on both the horizontal and vertical axes. The modes include horizontal modulation in free run with frequency and amplitude controls, horizontal lock, which locks the pattern to vertical rate. Also possible on the 300 is vertical modulation, again with amplitude and frequency adjustable, and both horizontal and vertical modulation simultaneously. Rotational, border, and soft modes are also available during the pattern modulation. The modulating waveform can be either a sine wave or a triangle or an external waveform. Positioner modes include positioner normal, with which a pattern can be freely positioned anywhere inside or outside the picture. However, in this mode, from an extreme off-center position, a blanking snap will occur when the wipe is expanded to full frame. Positioner auto mode solves this problem by allowing a completion of a wipe from any position. In positioner auto mode, however, the wipe will change in size as it's moved around the picture. The 300 shares a common rate control type positioner for the three MixFX systems: MixFX 1, MixFX 2, and MixFX 3. Buttons at the bottom of the panel delegate the positioner to each of the three MixFX systems. We can move independently MixFX 1, MixFX 2, or MixFX 3, or any combination of the three, in this case, all three at once. An automatic centering function is provided to perfectly align each of the three wipes. The wipes can then be moved as a composite graphic about the picture. A fifth button on the positioner panel allows positioning of the optional digital video effects from the same positioner. Each 300 MixFX system contains two auto transition systems. The lever auto transition duplicates the result of a lever movement. The transition rate is indicated in the LED readout on the EMEM panel. Transition rates between 0 and 999 frames can be selected by pushing the transition rate button, entering the desired transition rate, and canceling the transition rate button. The auto transition can be started and stopped at will by repeated pushes on the auto transition button. A transition that is started as an auto transition can be completed as a lever transition. Conversely, a lever transition can be completed as an auto transition. The title auto transition rate is indicated in the LED readout when the push to preview is selected. The transition rate can be changed by first changing the lever transition rate, then depressing the Learn button on the EMEM panel, and then the title mix button. From that point on, the title mix will proceed at the new rate. Again, the title mix rates can be changed by first changing the lever auto transition rate and then pushing Learn title mix. Each mix effect system contains a standard EMEM effects memory system. Once stored, the first 10 registers can be recalled by directly selecting any button 0 through 9. The second 10 registers can be accessed by first selecting the Shift button and then any button 0 through 9. To learn an effect setup, first select the Learn button and then any of the first 10 registers. Or select the Shift button and then Learn for access to the second 10 registers. To protect a register's contents, push the uppercase arrow followed by Lock to lock out further EMEM Learn functions. The lock condition is indicated by an L adjacent to the auto transition rate in the LED readout. A last X function is provided to recover from an accidental EMEM recall. Should an accidental recall be made, push the upper arrow followed by last to restore the panel to conditions existing prior to the last EMEM recall. The 300 switcher contains a unique feature, unlimited reentry, which greatly eases reentry from one mix effects to the other. As can be seen, each mix effects can be re-entered into any other. For example, mix effects 1 can have reentries from mix effects 2 or 3. Likewise, mix effects 2 can have reentries from mix effects 1 or 3, and mix effects 3 from 1 or 2. Of course, the program preset mixer has access to all of the mix effects reentries. The program preset mixer and downstream keyer operate in a similar manner to a mix effects system. Mixes between the program bus and the preset bus are made by first selecting a preset crosspoint, a background transition, and then moving the lever arm much the same way as a mix effects background transition. The transition can be made as a lever movement, as an auto transition, or as a direct cut. The auto transition rate follows the rate selected for mix effects 3. Likewise, titles can be added by either moving the lever arm or by using the cut and mix buttons at the downstream keyer. Again, the title mix rate follows that of mix effects 3. Transitions of background and title can be made simultaneously by selecting both background and title and making the transition. Preset black operation is identical in function to that of a mix effects. The downstream keyer title mode controls are also identical in function to a mix effects title keyer. This concludes our operational description of the 300 series production switcher. The Mark II DVE is available in two basic models, either fully integrated with the 300 production switcher or as a standalone unit. When integrated with the 300 production switcher, the DVE controls are fully integrated within the 300 control panel. The DVE operational controls mount in the lower right-hand corner of the panel for easy operator access. The setup control panel, which includes modification controls, locates in the 300 accessory slot. Input switching to the DVE is accomplished by auxiliary buses selected from the 300 control panel. For multi-channel operation, 4 additional buttons are provided for XY delegation of the aux bus selector for channels 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. The output of the DVE is available as a primary input to the 300 production switcher, usually on input 23, although any input can be used. Note that the output of the DVE is available to each mix effects system, as well as each input channel for DVE feedback effects. In the standalone configuration, the same control panels are used, grouped into a self-contained control panel. Operational modes are basically the same for both systems. Individual control panel groupings include the EMEM effects memory system for storage of effects, the transition panel for execution of the effects, and the positioner panel. The control panel groupings at the top of the panel include channel delegation and on-off buttons, the 16 basic picture wipe patterns, 5 special effects buttons, channel 1 mode controls, key tracking controls, and modification controls for picture manipulation effects and matte generator colors. When first turned on, the DVE will initialize to a 1-channel 0 to 1 times zoom. We will begin our operational description by focusing on the transition and positioner control panels. Mark II DVE picture manipulations are intended to be used in the same manner as wipes in a production switcher. Picture movements can be initiated either directly by the lever arm or as an auto transition at any rate between 0 and 999 frames. Transitions can be started with the lever arm and completed as an auto transition, or conversely started as an auto transition and completed with the lever arm. The direction of the transition can be in the normal direction, reverse, normal reverse, or reverse normal. The positioner is a rate control type, allowing smooth picture positioning anywhere inside or just outside the frame. In position auto center mode, the picture will reframe at the 1-time size from any preset position. If positioner auto center is turned off, the picture will zoom about its offset position. A centering button is provided on the positioner panel to precisely center the picture from any offset position. The variable aspect control allows continuous aspect ratio change. Once altered, the picture can then be manipulated in its altered aspect ratio. The remaining controls include picture freeze for freeze frame effects and auto freeze, in which the freezes can be strobed at any interval between 0 and 99 frames. Start and stop buttons are provided for auto freeze and other stepping effects. Basic manipulation patterns are selected by wipe type buttons in the setup panel. By selecting a button and moving the lever arm or initiating an auto transition, basic effects are achieved, such as expand from the left, right, top, bottom, or any of the four corners. Modification buttons on the left side of the panel allow the picture to either expand from the picture edge or slide on, using any of the edge transition patterns. The next column of buttons allows a compression from the center on either the H-axis or the V-axis. Also a compress to center and a compress from the top. The last column includes split patterns from the horizontal center axis, the vertical center axis, or both at once. Again, the slide over button can be selected for slide split patterns in each mode. The last button activates the video mosaic effect, with which the size of the picture elements is adjusted by the lever arm, creating a mosaic tile effect. The bottom row of buttons controls the background and border matte generators. With the background matte generator off, the residual memory is exposed in the frame store. The background generator will mask the area of the picture outside of the compressed image. A border can be selected using the border button. The clear button will clear all modifiers controlled from elsewhere on the panel. The next set of panels provide modifiers for the basic picture patterns. The first panel includes individual modifiers for the horizontal and vertical axes. The top buttons control image reversals on both the H and the V axis, or both in combination. The hold buttons inhibit control of one axis while the lever arm continues to control the opposite axis, either horizontally or vertically. The split buttons operate in combination with the basic wipe patterns on the horizontal axis, the vertical axis, or both in combination. The remaining buttons control the basic zoom ranges. The default range is 0 to 1 times. The next selection is 0 to 4 times. And by selecting the infinity buttons at the bottom of the panel, a full range of 0 to infinity is available. Additional ranges are provided for 1 times to 4 times, or again using the infinity buttons from 1 times to infinity. It is possible to choose different ranges on each axis for unique geometric distortions. Pressing the clear button on the wipe panel will restore the zoom range to 0 to 1 times size. The next panel contains picture resolution and flip modifiers. Posterization type effects can be obtained through separate control of luminance and chrominance resolution. Adjustment ranges are available for 1 to 8 quantizing bits of resolution. Flip modifiers are available for horizontal flips, and vertical flips, with the number of half flips adjustable by the up-down buttons and indicated by the LED indicator. Continuous flips are also available either on the horizontal axis, the vertical axis, or both in combination. Separate control of the horizontal and vertical flip phase is available at the flip angle control. The next panel contains luminance, chrominance, and hue controls for the background and border matte generators. The background generator can be adjusted to any color in luminance, chrominance, and hue. Likewise, the border color can be adjusted for each channel individually for luminance, chrominance, and hue, and also border width. First for channel 1 and then for channel 2. Each channel has a separate matte generator for border color. Special dual channel patterns are available which allow manipulation of 2 channels with 1 lever arm movement. The 12 basic positional patterns are available together with 4 modifying buttons to the left side of the panel. Patterns can move in an expand over pattern with channel 1 over channel 2, a slide over with channel 1 over channel 2, either horizontally or on a diagonal. Also, an expand compress diagonally or horizontally, or a slide pattern on the horizontal axis, the vertical axis, or diagonally. These patterns are intended for wipe type applications and are directly accessible at the wipe buttons. Multi-channel modes utilize the channels 1 through 4 buttons at various locations on the control panels. The channel 1 through 4 buttons at the top delegate the main setup control panel to channels 1 through 4. The channel 1 through 4 on buttons will turn on individually the 4 channels. The channel 1 through 4 transition active buttons delegate the transition panel and positioner to channels 1 through 4. These buttons can be demonstrated by keying channel 1 and channel 2 over the control panel picture. The channel 1 delegate button assigns the setup panel to channel 1, allowing selection of wipe and other modes. Likewise, channel 2 can be controlled from the setup control panels. The channel on-off buttons will turn on or off individually channels 1 or channel 2. The transition active buttons will delegate the transition panel and positioner to the various channels. For instance, channel 1 or channel 2, or both at the same time. The next set of buttons operate the 5 special effects modes. Special 1 is the rotating cube, which operates with systems having 2 or more channels. The cube will start and stop in response to the start-stop buttons on the transition panel. It will stop automatically on the full picture side of the cube. The speed of rotation depends on the step rate as indicated on the transition panel. The direction of the rotating cube is determined by the first 4 white buttons, either from left to right, from right to left, top to bottom, and bottom to top. The size and position of the rotating cube are determined by the lever arm and positioner, respectively. Special 2 is a picture orbiting effect. When the start button is pushed, the picture will begin to move in a circular pattern. The horizontal and vertical flip angle controls will control the vertical and horizontal diameters such that elliptical patterns can be specified. The aspect ratio control will define a size relationship between the top and bottom of the ellipse such that a 3-dimensional orbit effect is created. The speed of rotation is determined by the step rate. When auto transition is used with Special 2, a spiraling zoom is created. The number of loops is adjustable by the ratio of the auto transition rate to the step rate. For multi-channel systems, individual programming of each channel is available. Modification controls follow the channel delegation buttons. Special 3 provides picture swoop effects either with titles or live pictures. To operate a picture swoop, first select a starting point at one limit of the lever arm using the positioner, and then place the lever on its limit. Next, select the swoop direction desired from one of the 8 buttons at the extreme left side of the panel, and then operate the auto transition in a normal manner. Picture swoops are available from the left, the right, the top, bottom, or any of the 4 corners. Picture swoops are particularly effective with titles, and all modifiers, including flips, are available. Special 4 sets up a quad split pattern from 4 input channels. It is useful for previewing all channels or to provide a starting point for further manipulation. Special 5 is a nonlinear transition that simulates an object moving towards you, such as a freight train down a railroad track. It provides a dramatic effect for both pictures and especially titles. Continuous zooms through one-time size simulate an object moving overhead. The next group of buttons controls the Channel 1 only effects. The first 2 columns control recursive loop effects, including noise reduction, shown here with an extreme expansion of a VTR signal. Noise reduction is available in 12, 9, or 6 dB increments. The next button provides picture decay with a decay constant of 2, 4, or 8 frames, or an infinite loop around the memory, creating a freeze of the decay motion. The next effect is action track. The pot at the lower left corner determines the motion clip level on the motion detector. We will demonstrate action track with this moving wipe pattern. In action track infinite freeze mode, the trail of the moving object will be frozen in the memory. This in turn can be keyed back into the live video of the scene such that only the motion is frozen. Decay modes are also available, in this case an 8-frame decay rate, which decays the frozen image behind the moving object. 4-frame and 2-frame decay rates are also available. The next effect is strobe title. Strobe title will leave a trail of frozen images behind an object as determined by a luminance clip set by the potentiometer. Decay modes of 8, 4, and 2 frames are also available. A matte fill mode can also be used, in which the title is matted by the background matte generator. The step interval between freezes is determined by the step rate indicated on the transition panel, and the start-stop buttons initiate the freeze. The next group of buttons control the montage and multi-freeze effects. The basic effects modes include montage, multi-freeze with 16 patterns, multi-freeze with 9 patterns, and multi-freeze with 4 patterns. Programming modes are available for creation of unique multi-freeze and montage patterns. For example, to program a multi-16 pattern, push multi-16 followed by learn. At this point, 16 patterns will low tally on the pattern selector panel. To construct a multi-freeze array, just push directly the buttons corresponding to the array position desired. The monitor will follow the button pushes. When the pattern is complete, push again, followed by 2 pushes on the multi-16 button, and then hit step for manual selection or auto step followed by start for an automatic laydown of the pattern. An auto transition will bring the last frame back up to full size. We will repeat now for a second pattern. Note that the exit zoom is often smoother if field mode is inhibited. In a similar manner, a multi-9 array can be programmed. Note that it is possible to turn each picture position on or off in the sequence. Up to 32 on or off selections are allowed per multi-freeze effect. And in a similar manner, a multi-4 can be programmed. To program a montage, first select the montage button, followed by learn, and then operate the lever arm and positioner to indicate the positions of the montage freeze. When the correct position is obtained, push the store over or store under control to select the priority of the frozen image in the montage. Continue building up a pattern until up to 32 pictures have been laid down. When the pattern is complete, push learn again Cancel montage and then replay the effect. A zoom from the last position can be obtained through auto transition or a lever movement. When 300 series aux buses are used, a sequence of aux bus selections can be stored by pushing Learn Input Sequence, followed by Step for each bus selection. Input sequences will automatically step during montage, multi-freeze, flip, and dual channel modes. The next set of buttons control miscellaneous system functions and external key and wipe tracking. The Input Sequence button enables input sequences when programmed on 300 series aux buses. The small key control will provide masking for input signals with abnormally wide blanking. The external key control will allow external modification of recursive key effects such as action track and strobe title effects. The external mask button enables an input from an external wipe generator to mask sections of the memory, permitting reveal effects. Vertical shift reinterpolates the picture up 1/2 line to provide a perfect vertical registration of the DVE output to its input signal. This can be shown by wiping a reverse DVE output picture over its input source at the production switcher, and noting the alignment on the horizontal objects. The field mode control determines whether a freeze effect will freeze an entire frame or field 1 only. Although frame freeze offers more resolution, field 1, field 2 motion jitter may make field freeze more desirable. The key and wipe tracking modes reference to signals fed from a production switcher mix effects. The key recognizer will compute compression coordinates from an external source, such as these 4 character generator letters, and automatically fit a compressed picture into the area. In Effects Follow mode, a special feature of the Mark II DVE is enabled. Instead of merely compressing a picture into the key area, the Effects Follow mode will compress the entire active memory into the key area such that all functions such as zooms and multi-freeze effects can be resized to the new coordinates. Key and wipe signals can be chosen from MixEffects 1, MixEffects 2, and MixEffects 3. In wipe follow mode, the key tracking will compute the coordinates of the wipe signal and then compress the rectangular picture into these coordinates. The Effects Follow mode can also be used for tracking chroma keys. Transition and step rates are entered through the EMEM control panel and indicated in the LED readout. To enter a transition rate, push transition rate followed by the desired number and cancel. A 3-digit transition rate will automatically cancel the transition rate button. The step rate is indicated in the small readout on the transition panel. To change the step rate, use the uppercase followed by transition rate and select a 2-digit number. Any number between 00 and 99 frames is possible. Step rates are used to sequence the auto freeze as shown, or with any of the other stepping functions such as multi-freeze. The EMEM system is capable of storing complete panel configurations in any of 20 registers. For example, a zoom, a picture orbit, a rotating cube, a dual channel expand compress, a picture swoop, or a compress to zero. Any effect controlled from the panel can be stored in an EMEM register. Registers available include 0 through 9 and shift 0 through 9 for a total of 20 registers. To learn an effect such as this picture compression, push Learn followed by the desired register. A second position, Learn 2. A third, Learn 3. Each of these effects are now stored in registers 1, 2, and 3. If you desire to edit 2, for instance, simply reconstruct the effect and Learn 2 again. Now you'll have the new setup learned in register 2. To transition between registers, the effects dissolve can be used. The effects dissolve will proceed at the rate indicated in the LED indicator. To learn an effects dissolve into a register, hit Learn, Effects Dissolve, and then the register number, and this can be repeated for each of the 3 registers. From this point on, a button push will do an immediate effects dissolve to that register. Effects dissolves can be linked into an automatic sequence by using the Sequence button. Delays between sequence steps are indicated in the LED readout, in this case 000. To learn a sequence, select Learn Sequence and the order of the registers, and then from that point on, select Sequence and the first register to initiate the sequence. Multi-channel effects can be programmed in a similar way by first selecting the positions of each of the channels, in this case 2 channels. Learn this position in 4, this position in 5, learn 6, and learn 7, in each case as an effects dissolve, and now we can preview the various steps. To link these into a sequence, select a delay this time of 10 frames between steps, learn sequence 4, 5, 6, 7, and playback. In the same way, multi-channel effects, including 4-channel effects, can be built up using any combination of effects, including the specials such as picture orbit, shown here as a 4-channel picture orbit sequence. Additional controls on the EMEM panel include Last X and EMEM Lock. Last X will permit you to go back to the control panel configuration existing prior to the last EMEM recall. Following an EMEM recall, simply hit uppercase last to return the panel to its pre-existing condition. To protect the EMEM registers from accidental erasure, select the uppercase followed by lock to lock the panel from further EMEM learns. An L in the LED readout indicates the lock condition of the panel. This concludes our introductory description of the Mark II DVE modes. Although the effects have been described separately, most can be used in combination for an even larger effects menu. Consult your instruction manual for a complete description of each operating mode.